The weight of inherent hatred. What you teach your children today shapes the world they will live in tomorrow. Hatred, ignorance, and prejudice is not born, they are taught. And when you pass those toxic seeds on to the next generation, you're not just poisoning their hearts, you're poisoning the future of this entire country. The racism that you pass down doesn't just hurt people of color. It damages you. It damages your family. It damages your community. It damages everything, including this country, ultimately. Now, there's a truth that many people refuse to acknowledge. Hatred is taught. Again, hatred is taught. This is not something children come into the world with. Children are born with love, curiosity. They don't see color. They don't see people. But when they are exposed to racism, when they are raised in an environment that teaches them to fear and to hate, they learn that fear of racism. They learn to see the world through the lens of division and distrust. And once those ideas are planted, they're hard to shake off. So let's talk about why you teach your children hate. Whether you realize it or not, and why this is shaping their future in a way you might not understand. So I'm going to pause for a second and explain to you parents something. We keep seeing the future as we learned it from our past. But what we are forgetting is that our children are completely different people. What we teach them, they evolve to something else. What we're seeing today is not the hatred of yesterday. It's the hatred of tomorrow. If you didn't get what I just said, rewind it back. The lasting effects of racism from generation to generation. Let's talk about it. The cycle of racism. Racism isn't just an issue for the marginalized. It's an issue for the perpetrators too. Teaching your children to hate based on skin color, culture, or background isn't just damaging to those they target. It's damaging to their own heart and soul. So you're teaching your children what they call the dominant effect. But what you're not understanding is while you're teaching your children this hate, you're hurting your children as well. You learned a generational curse. And now you're teaching it to the next generation. Hold on. The hatred you pass down makes your child bitter, angry, and fearful. You might think you're protecting them from the other, but you're actually raising them to be disconnected from humanity itself. I'm not done yet. Racism is generalized. Now, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to say this. When I say racism is generalized, I mean it's generational. Unless it is severed, unless it is completely undenounced, then you're not going to get rid of racism out of your family. Stick with me. It's passed down through families, communities, and systems. It's passed down through family, communities, and systems. What your parents taught you, you teach your children, and they will teach and carry on it forth unless you choose to break the cycle. Hold on, I'm not done yet. The emotional scars of racism don't just impact people of color. The scars of the soul, they scar the soul of everyone involved. It creates division that extend far beyond simple hatred. It breeds insecurity, guilt, and a deep sense of loss. People who grow up steeped in hate often don't realize how much they have lost in the process. The ability to see truly and understand and love others is something that is gained through understanding. Are you willing to teach your kids what you already know? Or are you willing to go back to the table and learn something new? A lot of y'all parents just generationally teach things because it comes with wealth. But can I tell you something? The wealth of yesterday is steeped in blood because the wealth of tomorrow is going to burn it. You see, our kids are taking everything that we did back in the day and they are changing it in their own way. We don't like what it looked like, i.e. crypto, i.e. Bitcoin. They want to come up with a powerful dollar. And we all looking like we fought for the original dollar. How many of us fought for the dead presidents? The savage truth. Racism is a disease that spreads across generations. It feeds on fear, ignorance, and arrogance. And until you stop passing it down, you'll never be free from it. Not you, not your children, not their children, not their children's children, not anyone in your generational bloodline. Now I'm going to slide this in. The emotional and psychological damage of racism. The emotional toll of being raised in a racist environment is profound. Hear me out. Hear me out. For children of color, it teaches them that they are inferior, undeserving, and not good enough, a message they will carry with them throughout life. A lot of us are asking, we didn't raise you to be like this, but did you raise them in an environment where it kept bringing them down and you never broke it? We kept seeing that some of our young black individuals have so much talent, but they sell out for a dollar line. Have you taught them their worth? You as a parent, you as a teacher, you as an advocate cannot blame what everybody else does if you do not counter it. For white children, why you forgot about y'all? Raised with racist belief, it teaches them to fear their own empathy. Hold up. It forces them to ignore the humanity of others and embrace the false narrative that some people are inherently better than others. A lot of you parents are wondering how people can pick up guns and take out life without thinking about the consequences. I just explained it to you. When you put this arrogance of ignorance in people, it's not going to blossom the way you think it's going to do it. Every individual person has their own ability to think and evolve. You don't know what beast you come up with until it's already here. I ain't done yet. The consequences are real. Low self-esteem, mental health struggles, anger, resentment, and a persuasive sense of insecurity. I love that. The hate you pass down doesn't just affect those you target. It poisons that slow eating away to everyone that holds it. See, when I say a persuasive sense of insecurity, you are so persuaded to yourself that you better than somebody that you need. And you gonna talk down to this person till they gonna willingly do what you think they should be doing. And you're fooling yourself because that person gonna have certain much of saying, man, I ain't doing this. You gonna persuade yourself to know that you better than something that you not, because none of us is better than nobody. We got enough abilities to meet up with each other to make a grain stand, but none of us can do that because insecurities peeks its ugly head, because ignorance take over. And when I call you ignorant, I'm not just calling you stupid. You know what you doing is wrong. You have persuaded yourself to keep doing what you doing, and now you passing it off to your kids, who was in a whole different mindset than we are. And now they have came up with the new version, i.e. 2025. Now let's talk about how many people are blinded by their own racism. Some of y'all are looking at me like, here go the baby whisper, here she come. The comfort of ignorance. Many people don't even realize that they are teaching hate. They have been so conditioned by society, family, and media to accept certain stereotypes and bias that they don't even see the damage they are doing. How many of y'all can step outside the box in a situation and see if the reaction that you are giving is the correct reaction before you explain it? You say looking at me like, what? Racism is insidious. It doesn't always look like a burning cross or hatred-filled rhetoric. Sometimes it looks like a casual bias, a joke, at the expense of another culture, or an assumption about a person worth based on color of their skin. I have a question. How many of y'all have told y'all kids to cross your sleep when they see black people walking down the street? How many of y'all have told your kids to watch out what's going on if they see a bunch of Arabs in the bus? How many of y'all see Mexicans run around and think they about to steal somebody? When people are confronted with their own prejudices, they often reach defensively. Denial is a powerful tool. I'm going to say it again. Denial is a powerful tool. It allows people to maintain their worldwide views without ever truly examining the harm they cause. The discomfort of confronting racism within themselves often lead to the choice to stay silent or justify their actions. This is why so many people perpetrate racist beliefs without even realizing the harm they are causing. They have been blinded by their own privilege, their own fear, their own ignorance. So what's the savage truth? It's easier to deny than confront. But that is what you're doing when you teach your children hate. You're choosing to confront, you're choosing comfort over truth. And that comfort is costing you everything. Yeah, I'm getting tongue-tied. A lot of you choose comfort over truth. It is easy to tell your child, well, granddaddy said that because, he was born back in the Civil War days, and, back there they did that. But if someone comes up to your child and does something the exact same way, you are very much going to confront that person. You have to practice what you preach when you're raising your children. And if you don't practice what you preach, They are going to learn and start preaching the media's way, which we all know the division is what they taught. Division. You're very much different because Susie looks like she's white and you look like you're black and Alberto over there is Spanish. So that divides you automatically when you're all children. The dangers of being blinded to the truth. When people choose ignorance, they are refusing to see the truth that racism is a deeply ingrained part of society. Racism is a deeply ingrained part of society. And it's not going away until we confront it. Racism is just a problem for other people. It's a cancer that affects us all. Whether you are actively racist or you're just silent in the face of it, you're allowing it to thrive. The damage is that the next generation grows up with these same blinded spots times 2. Perpetrating the same cycles of hatred, division, and mistrust with a whole different spin. If we don't acknowledge the truth of racism, we are condemning our children to the future of even a deeper division. They can't make us fall unless we are divided. A lot of y'all like to say, we're not blinded by our truth. We know our truth. Was your truth taught to you by your granny to the second power that came back in the slave day? Because that ain't no truth. I have a question. Do y'all even know y'all own history? Or are you teaching what you learned, the division of history? Because his story made the division that made race, that brought about frustration and hate, that birthed racism. I ain't even gonna repeat that. How this is shaping the future in a dangerous way. So let's talk about it. A generation of divided minds. A generation of divided minds. The children we raise today will be the leaders of tomorrow. We hope, if we're still here. If we continue teaching them to see race as a dividing line, to fear people based on where they come from or what they believe, we will have a future built on sand walls. This future will be one where people are pitted against each other, isolated in their own bubbles of fear and ignorance. Instead of coming together to solve problems, they will be fighting over resources, ideas, and identities. Oh my God, I just explained 2024. We are always and already seeing the effects of this in today's political climate. Not trying to go there, but we're about to. Raising the speech of rising hate crimes, increasing polarization, and the demonetization of people who are different. If we don't stop now, we're heading towards a future where unity is impossible. Actually, we're heading towards a future where the United States can be invaded. Let's get serious. 2024 was a struggle. We've seen more hate crimes. We've seen more racist acts. We've seen more division than we've ever seen. And now we're heading into 2025 with a whole nother leader that likes to talk out of the side of his mouth. However, what I'm telling you is that has no bearing on what you teach your children. Because the future of the United States lands with its people. Who controls the military? The government might control it, but who's on the ground? You. Your sons, your fathers, your daughters, your mothers, your brothers, your sisters, you. If you ever have the privilege, like I have, to go over to other countries, there are countries that'll tell you quick, we don't like your government. However, as long as you just, have respect for ours while you're here, respect our rules, we don't mind the American people coming on and spend the money because our money is higher than theirs. Most of the places you like to go, unless you're going to Europe, which is a whole different way. They don't have a problem with us American people. You are confusing a fight for power over the fight for your families. Because the only people that keep this country safe is your people and you. I haven't seen yet a president go over while they fighting. Have you? I haven't seen yet a person come out of Congress and want to go at them boys where they in them bombs. Have you? I haven't seen yet a Senate man come down while you trying to tell the police to stop hurting people for no reason. I ain't seen a Senate man come down and march with y'all. Have you? What you fighting for? Because y'all confusing one thing with the other. American pride got to do with the people of America, keeping us safe, keeping our communities up, keeping our schools empowered, keeping our stores empowered. Little small mom and pop businesses should be thriving right now. It's 2025. Why is half of them closed down? But y'all want to blame someone else for one community's problem when every community in the United States has a problem. I told you I was going to do the video. I didn't tell you I was going to change me. Sorry. Anyway, so let's keep going. Now, I lost my space because I had to tell y'all about yourselves. Now, here we go. The future will be the one where people are pitted against each other, isolating them in their own bubble. I already read that. Okay, sorry. We are already seeing the effects of it today in the political climate. I read that too. Where are we at? The dangers of influence of technology. Sorry. I had to tell you about yourselves because it's getting ridiculous right now. The dangers of the influence of technology. Now let's talk about this. Today's children are growing up in a world where social media amplifies every voice, good or bad. They are exposed to both positive and negative influences on an unprecedented scale. Unfortunately, the loudest voice often aren't the most compassionate ones. They are the voices of hatred, fear, and division. Children learn to hate from a young age because the internet teaches them that division gets attention. It teaches them to vilify those who are different instead of celebrating diversity. Now let me explain this. Because when I wrote this, my whole thought was a lot of you think that the internet is a bad place. Everything comes with good and bad. Everything comes with it. That's the balance. You gotta have good with bad. That is the balance of life. What we seem to forget is that we need to monitor what our children are watching. Even if you think this is a straight children's channel, you have to watch what your children are watching because controversy sells. Controversy sells. And they're going to touch on every topic possible because the dopamine that you get from controversy is more better than the dopamine you get from an education. And I'm a teacher saying that. We are building a future where children grow up in echo chambers surrounded by information and reinforcement that prejudices Yes, I said it just like that. Sure did. 5 degrees. Anyway, instead of challenging them. And this turns into the shape that the next generation of leaders, parents, and citizens, people who will continue to teach hate to their children. A lot of us use the internet for a powerful tool to get and raise our voice about something we're passionate about. You can be so passionate about the wrong damn thing. However, a lot of you don't show growth. And this is the problem that we have with teaching hatred. Your growth is that you're going to hate on somebody else so much that you're going to look more powerful than them. You only look like the weakest link to the intelligent people. But you're teaching children that hating on this person and showing this much vile comments and putting out this much hatred is going to get you famous and viral. When in fact, many people are looking at you laughing. Many people are looking at you and wondering the ignorance that you're spewing out your mouth. But for a child's mind, for a teen's mind, and don't get mad for y'all young adult minds, you are still like a sponge soaking up all of the bullshit. I did it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep it. The difference between generations. What can we do now? Here's an opportunity to break the cycle. Unlike the previous generation, we have the power to change things now. We can stop teaching our children to fear what they don't understand, to hate what is different, and to judge others based on the color of their skin and the cultural background. The generation before us lived in a world where racism was often explicit. But we are living in the times where silence is just as dangerous as active hate. We must teach our children to see the world in a new way, as a world of opportunity where diversity is strength, not a threat. The burden is on us, the parent, the teacher, the leader, to raise a generation that rejects division and embraces unity. A generation that sees each person as an individual and refuses to let the past dictate the future. Now, I'm going to tell you what the problem is with this part right here. But first, let me hit this right quick. What you teach today will shape tomorrow. The question is simple. What kind of future do you want to leave behind? You can't teach unity when all you know is hate. If you want to leave a future of unity, compassion, and understanding, it starts with the lesson you teach today. You can't teach unity if all you know is division. Stop passing down hate. Teach your children to question the world around them, to understand the power of empathy, and to embrace the beauty of our differences. You can't teach any of that if all you know is ignorance, superiority, supremacy, division. The future of this country, your children's future, is in the hands of you. Choose wisely. Now, a lot of y'all gonna say, she been up here for 30 minutes. She been reading off this paper and telling us all about yourself. When they ask me to do things like this, it takes me back to my childhood. And I know why they asked me to do this. If you're not teaching your children how to survive in this world, you're teaching them how to shape it. If you teach them to hate, you're ensuring that hatred will continue long after you're gone. Survival has nothing to do with superiority. Same word, SS. Survival and superiority is not the same thing. Many of us have this superiority that we are taught that we're owed this. You're not owed anything. Period. Everything you get in life, you must earn. This is what's wrong with the generation now. If you teach them to love, to understand, to fight for justice and equality, you're giving them the power of change everything. Now, I know y'all gonna think the hippies coming up, but here's one thing they had right. If you don't love yourself, you're gonna hate every other person that has what you want. If you don't have the drive to get up and do something, you are going to push everyone else down that can do it until they're gonna do it for you. If you don't have the motivation to be a person, a better person for you, you're gonna be trying to hate on everyone else to bow down to you. I.e., no one is going to like you. And fear of you, once they get strong in numbers, is going to change. See, hatred impacts our children in a hell of a different way. We are teaching them the old hatred. You know, when everybody just bow down and do it. You know, when they put something out there and they just say, okay, massa, I'ma do it. See, massa now then told the new generation to go and put them whips out, and one of them people then grabbed the whip and hit the massa. One of them people then got the massa addicted to something, so they need them people. One of them people then changed the game. If we don't change the narrative, the way the game is going of life is going to affect our children in a way where the board they're playing on is division and hate. You think because you teach your kids division and hate, it's going to make them stronger than anybody else when you are teaching your kids how to be weak. Anyone that hates first is frustrated with themselves and they don't know how to love themselves. I didn't tell you I was going to take out the baby whisperer. I told you I was going to bring the teacher too. See, y'all keep talking about racism like it's only just for one person. But you keep putting the same narrative into the bowl of hate. Hatred evolves. Evolve with it. Face yourself. Generational curses are peeking its ugly head. And y'all keep saying, well, why my kids turn out like that? Because you taught them. I didn't teach you to do that. Yes, you did what you say. See, words mean everything. But what we forget is, as a parent, as a teacher, as a pastor, as an advocate, anybody who is in front of people, your actions is going to triumph over your words. You say, go help them poor people. And then they see you as you got your little hands like this, putting stuff down on the thing. And they looking like, well, why we out here doing this? You are better than nobody. Show me a God on this earth, because it ain't one. See, your thinking pattern that y'all got for your children has evolved this mess that we got right now. And racism has changed its head because it don't even look like it used to. People out there joking us Americans quick, and they need us. People coming into our country taking what we supposed to have, and they joking us and they being racist against us, and this is our country because we divided. Now, there's one thing I do agree with him. This is our country. We are divided, and they know. You want to change history? You better change the way you think first. Stop teaching your kids the ignorance of yesterday. So tomorrow they can go out with a whole different way because there's a little thing called AI that they just gonna put that stupid shit you done put in their head and type it right into that little thing and come out with a whole different beast. And then they taking everybody out, i.e. while we have mass shootings, i.e. while mental health has reared its ugly head in a whole different way we can't even get a hold of. While we got 8-year-olds going through multiple personality disorders. Y'all trying to figure out why hate is so strong. It is a disease that y'all ain't trying to cure. And the rest of us running around here saying, hey, pay attention to this. Hey, do this. If your neighbor don't want to do it, then you need to find the people that do want to do it with you and put your kids around those people, because the company they keep is going to affect them tomorrow. The future is watching. Y'all hear me? The future is watching. Don't teach them hate. Teach them to be better than we were. Teach them to build a world like we should have. And you better teach them how to be prideful of their country. Now, before you want to teach them that, you might want to learn who the hell you are. Because every person of this United States, excuse me, like my family like to say, every person of this Americas, your family did something to put you where you at. Stop worrying about what the government telling you. Eventually they're going to come back and say something to everybody else. That division that y'all got, that hatred that y'all teaching, and you wondering why your bloodline dying out. You wondering why that girl go over there and get that black boy because that black boy showed her how to love herself. You wondering how this little white boy got into our family because that white boy just showed her what love really is. You wondering why that little Spanish girl done got your son because that Spanish girl done showed him that this is what love and self-worth is. You better understand, parents. They ain't coming for us. We too old. They're coming for our children. And some of y'all got them out on silver platters. You better know who you are and what you can do. Because the hate of tomorrow is dominating the love of today. It's Imagine That Homeschool Academy, the Baby Whisperer Movement, and Intelligent Connections. Thank you for joining us today. Shh.